What brought me here was a 15 by 15 block map of part of Minneapolis. Each one of those dots represents the misery of a house or an apartment or building in foreclosure.
This is a map of Memphis and Shelby County. Every dot on this map represents a completed foreclosure for 2008.
Over the past 9 years, foreclosure hit nearly 1 in 10 households in the county. Think about it. All these red dots represent real people, displaced families.
Every one of these houses is a failure. Somebody went bankrupt, somebody got sick. 60% of the people that we run into or lose in our houses have been ill, broke a leg, had a heart attack, something, and it suspended their income.
Here in the Fraser neighborhood, the foreclosure wave has been the financial equivalent of a neutron bomb. People disappear, but the structures are left standing. Each of the personal tragedies behind foreclosure has a ripple effect on neighbors, neighborhoods, and surrounding cities and towns. That means this is your problem too, even if you're doing fine with your own mortgage at your own bank.
Has the government done enough to protect homeowners?
We have not developed a robust program to get ahead of the foreclosure problem. Part of the problem is that the government showpiece program is really directed toward the problem that existed 6 months ago, which was all about subprimes and escalating payment rates. Now the foreclosure problem has spread, the contagion, and more families with who are unemployed has made the problem even bigger.
And they don't get that kind of help.
And they don't get the help. They're not eligible for the program.
We reported on just that, so let's take a look.
Once, twice, third and final call, sold $58,000.
On the streets of Baltimore, in front of the courthouse, it's a frigid January day. There is no bailout here. 100 foreclosed homes are being auctioned off.
Sold $49,000.
Each transaction the end of someone's American dream. The same scene plays out here day after day.
Third and final call, sold it back to the lender.
Elijah Cummings, a Democrat, is the U.S. Congressman from the city of Baltimore. What are you hearing from folks in your district about how this bailout is helping them?
They don't see it helping them. And the insult to injury is that it's their tax dollars that are bailing out Wall Street.
So taxpayers essentially have paid out $1 trillion with a T dollars to help in bailouts for Wall Street, for AIG, for auto companies, but in essence, the help for families facing foreclosure stuck, going nowhere?
Well, I don't want to say that. There is a program, and the families who get help, God bless. I mean, you know, it helps somebody, and every family that gets helped, I'm glad that's the case. Good for the family, actually good for the investor, and ultimately good for the community they live in. Too little, too late. We got to do better than that.
But the Obama administration supposedly was saying, look, we have the priorities straight. We are going to help the American family. So what are we to take away from that?
Too little, too late. We've got, if we want to get ahead of this problem, we've got to do more. And look, I want to be clear. There are multiple ways we can address this problem. One is we can put more money into it. We certainly put money in at the top. We've put a lot less money into the home mortgage foreclosure process. The other part is we can talk about the investors in these mortgages who can be forced to absorb some of their losses. You know, let's remember, a mortgage foreclosure on average costs the investors about $130,000. So every time we get somebody who gets to stay in their house because they've worked out some arrangement, the investors have not suffered a big hit they otherwise would have suffered. So bringing those two together ought to happen, even without lots of government dollars in between. Right now, too many of those investors are sitting on the sidelines saying, I'm not going to work with families in foreclosure. I'm going to wait for the government to come and bail me out, because that's really what they want to see.
Let's turn now to the issue of executive pay, and there has been a lot of outrage in the past couple of weeks on this issue. In fact, I just read a report that says that Wall Street bonuses will be going up 40% in this year. Let's take a listen.
The 20 largest bailed out banks received $283 billion in taxpayer money. And today we learned the executives running those 20 troubled banks still received enormous paychecks.
You can't tell me that 119,000 people on Wall Street just happened to qualify for a $250,000 bonus here.
Goldman Sachs reported near record third quarter profits and appeared on track to pay bonuses topping the $20 billion mark.
Could the go-go days be back already?
So how is it possible? We were all upset about these big bonuses and all this executive pay, and it's right back. This is like deja vu all over again.
Yeah. You know, this one I have to say truly amazes me, that these folks who are supposed to be the smartest folks in the room believe that they can take taxpayer money and save their businesses from complete destruction and still continue to reward themselves as if they had earned it all. It's as if they don't understand. The world changed when you had to take money from the taxpayers to stay alive.
But did the world really change for them?
Well, evidently not. And I think what that means is that we really have to change this one now, again, by statute. I'm sorry. I was really a believer. The market will heal itself. Everything will correct here, at least on executive pay, because no one would be so foolish as to think, I'll take taxpayer money and then while people are unemployed, I will lard myself.
So what are you saying? You believe that?
We've got to change the executive compensation structure, and it's straight across
for
the board.
every single company across the board?
You bet.
But when you look at Goldman Sachs, for example, they did pay back the TARP money. So what responsibility do we have, what authority do we have to go in and say, you need to check out your executive pay and lower it?
They paid back the TARP money, but they're still operating with government guarantees. They still are counting on the taxpayer to backstop them. And I believe that gives the taxpayer a seat at the table in decision making over executive compensation. It's our money. The key has to be that Congress needs to rewrite all of the rules on executive compensation, and we need a special set of rules for any company that's relying on any kind of taxpayer backstop.
And the hands are going to go up and say, oh my God, they're controlling executive pay. We're going down the tubes in America.
They're saying you might cut us off from our taxpayer subsidies. And you know, that just breaks my heart.
But if they're saying, look, this is capitalism.
No, this is not capitalism. That's the whole point. This is socialism. This is the part where they're using taxpayer guarantees and taxpayer support in order to eke out some kind of private gain. And
so it's socialism for rich people.
For rich people. And you know, I just got to say, I'm tired of that one.
All right, let's talk about the credit rating agencies, which a lot of Americans also thought kind of had their best interests at hand. But in fact, we reported on the fact that they perhaps contributed a lot to this crisis.